Welcome to Restaurant Deal Making Exposed, the only show that equips you with everything you need to know about restaurant transactions. In this show, we tell you all about how to make the sale or purchase of your restaurant not just possible, but successful. Now here are your hosts, ex-restaurateurs and seasoned brokers, Patrick Toda and Andy Mirabel.
All right, everybody, we are here with Restaurant Deal Making Exposed. Today, consumers like quickies, new trends in QSR concepts, and how to stay current and relevant. Today, we'll pull back the curtain on the hottest new trends shaping quick service restaurants and, most importantly, how operators and investors can stay ahead of the curve. Today, we're thrilled to welcome a true innovator in the fast casual dining world, Matthew Blair, co-owner and strategic leader of World Wraps, which has been around since 1995 and still very relevant. World Wraps is a cool brand that helped pioneer the global fusion trend long before it was cool. Matthew and his team are known for their fearless approach to menu innovation and their talent for keeping the concept fresh, relevant, and crave-worthy year after year. Under his leadership, World Wraps has reimagined what quick, quality, and healthy eating can be, blending bold international flavors with smart, modern operations. Matthew, welcome to Restaurant Deal Making Exposed. We're excited to dig in to the new trends shaping QSR and learn how to keep World Wraps rolling with the times.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. So happy to be here. A lot of fun. Listened to you guys a number of times and excited to add anything I can.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for being here, Matt. So, I guess let's dive right in. The quick service restaurant or QSR industry has evolved really quickly in the last decade. It seems night and day if we look back to 2015 till now, the differences in trends, how we order and how these fast service restaurants are receiving guests, orders and everything. So can you give us kind of from your perspective, a summary or synopsis of what you've seen since the pandemic to now with how this has evolved?
Wow. Yeah, I can try for sure. I think just the biggest change with the pandemic is online ordering and kind of the older generations getting behind, getting on their phones and ordering, getting on the computers and ordering, picking up, grab and go. And QSR really fit right into that. I mean, it helped. That was, I think, a surge in QSR when the pandemic hit. And when was one of the, I want to say there weren't many, but one of the positives behind the pandemic for our industry and for our niche.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think it goes without saying that staying current and staying relevant is vital in business. Have you seen any concepts? I don't know if you need to name them or not. It's up to you. But have you seen any concepts or experienced, working with any that have kind of not evolved quickly enough? And that's been the reason that maybe it's not their product per se, but they haven't kept up with the trends and they've kind of become obsolete?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what happened with World Wraps 1.0, to be honest. I could tell you my own story. I started World Wraps back in 1994. 4 friends kind of came up with this idea, put some different items from around the world inside of a tortilla. It doesn't always have to be rice, pork, and beans. And, we put just incredible different favorite items like Thai chicken and samurai salmon and just these really interesting ingredients, different proteins into a tortilla. And that hence World Wraps was invented. I think we did a number of very different types of just innovative things, such as we invented the tomato and the spinach tortilla. We paired it with smoothies. We had a really exciting start to our business. And over the course of 20 years, we had sold it 7 years after starting it. And between that time and the time I bought it back with my partner 8 years ago, it stalled. It just kind of, just dragged and there wasn't a lot of innovation. And so I saw it personally that if you're not staying up with the times, if you're not, keeping the concept current and exciting and interesting, you will get that customer, kind of boredom and they'll move on to some amazing new concepts that are out there that I think we all know.
Yeah, people are quick to look left if they can't keep up with your concept or find a way to have you. They're going to go to the next concept, right? And that being said, I highly respect your concept because I love healthy eating, good eating, fresh eating, and you guys have done that very well above and beyond so many other concepts.
No, thanks.
So I appreciate you for that. Is there an example of a current day example of a trend in quick service restaurants, whether it be the technology or I don't know what, but is there something new that's going on that that you're focused on as far as being valid in the QSR industry and service to your customers?
I think new types of fusion, we were one of the trendsetters in using different foods, from around the world into, one concept. I think that there's so many amazing different innovations in fusion, and that just keeps going, that just, it's awe-inspiring, and seeing different concepts, using those, infusing different items, different ingredients has been fantastic. Yeah, I would say that would be what's something really exciting out there still.
Yeah. So
let
me
takes
ask you,
us to menu.
yeah,
Patrick.
yeah. I'm very curious, like with like Impossible and Beyond Meat, like, do you need to have that on the menu right now to be relevant? Is that a very important factor?
I think you need to have it. We use Beyond Meat and we do very well with it. I think that we have an incredible healthy halo, and it's something super important to us. I think almost more important is this, whether it's a gluten-free or vegan or vegetarian, you want to have some kind of segment of your menu touch on that. I don't think it necessarily has to be Impossible or Beyond. I think vegans and vegetarians, this is me, my personal opinion, they're not necessarily looking at like, oh my God, I want to taste something that tastes like steak. That's plant-based. I think that I'm a meat eater, and when I don't want to eat meat, I might get a Beyond item, but I don't think it's necessary per se. But I do think that the health halo, especially in California, you have to have people think about you in that way, that you're a healthy concept that you can go to.
I'm not going to share my very soft tofu taco recipe that mimics, ground beef or turkey today, but that's my left turn from meat.
I'm a meat eater too, but when I don't eat meat, I actually enjoy eating tempeh.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I do. The whole Beyond and Impossible thing has just never really, sat well with me.
I'm trumpet mushrooms. Like I like trumpet mushrooms. I mean, there's so many items that feel and taste like meat or steak or whatever that you can do. But
and so for the gluten-free, I mean, is that just basically having a bowl option and just taking the tortilla out of it? Yeah.
How do you have to stay relevant with, dietary need requests, allergies, things like that? Being a quick service restaurant, there's less points of service. So how do you manage those requests, and can you?
Well, we're happy to modify, kind of like the old slogan, no, special orders don't upset us. And, we have kiosks that guests can modify their own orders. We clearly, work with our team and train our team to let them know that they can explain to guests that we'll do whatever they need or want.
I can't tell you how many times I go to a restaurant, fast casual or not, but like how unopen some people are to making any requests. And I think you need to in this day and age. What are some other examples of your menu that new and different and, that are staying relevant?
I mean, one thing we're doing, for example, is we do baked fries. We don't do deep oil fried fries. So we try and make that a little bit of a healthier slant. We fresh press dough. We call, it's a tortilla, but we call it flatbread. We fresh press our flatbread to order. We make the dough every day.
Wow.
We fresh press it. This delicious, fresh, again, tortilla / flatbread hasn't been sitting in the walk-in in a plastic,
Wow. Are you talking about one of those like authentic tortilla presses? Like, oh, those are amazing. Good for you.
We have 6 locations at this point, and every single one of them makes their own sauces. We don't use a commissary yet, or at this point, I don't know if we ever will, but we love making fresh sauces every single day on site. So really, they talk about handcrafted, they talk about, fresh to order. These are just kind of little things that we feel like when you add them all up together, make our product just taste fresh and taste higher quality. And, especially for a quick service concept, we try and take it to the next level.
Have you always made your flatbread? And when you did do that, what was the operational process for that? Was it very difficult to roll out?
So World Wraps 1.0, again, we did not. We bought tortillas. We bought from local manufacturers. World Wraps 2.0, we wanted to do something a little bit different. Again, about 8 years ago, the world had changed. We thought we needed to keep up with it. We wanted to, again, innovate. We innovate. We talk about innovating, not imitating. So this fresh tortilla, I mean, we thought it might take a while to actually fresh press that tortilla until it cooked, to what we wanted it to be quality-wise. And it really is amazingly quick. So operationally, it was not difficult. It's expensive. It's another piece of equipment, but operationally.
Is it more expensive long run or cheaper for you to do it this way from a labor perspective? Why don't you explain that? Because I think that's really important.
I think it's cheaper. I mean, the piece of equipment's expensive, but, making your own dough and not dealing with the vendor and not having to, deal with all of that as far as storage of tortillas and potential waste. And it ends up being a win for us. And
that's amazing. That's not the answer I thought I was going to hear. To be blatantly honest, to buy a big pack of tortillas from Buy Right, stick it in your walk-in, takes no effort other than you buying it, right? And then someone grabbing it and wrapping it. And you're proving You've proved that for this particular ingredient, fresh is manageable labor-wise, cost-wise, and it's going to please the customer 10 times better, 100 times better. I love a fresh tortilla. I mean, good
And
Lord.
there's like a demonstration type thing, and there's a little show me in an open kitchen. We literally have neon signs above our dough presses. It says fresh pressed here. So there's a lot of different, maybe even intangibles that you can't exactly put your finger on, but we know the guests like it. And whether they can taste it or not, and a lot of them do know it and appreciate it. And we have quesadillas that just taste better because of it. We know it works. We know the return on investment's worth it.
It's kind of like In and Out. I'm sure people think that it's cheaper to buy fries from, and pull them out of the freezer and all that stuff, but actually it's cheaper for them. And also people know that they have fresh fries. And so I think that's really important, that you can do the right thing. It doesn't have to cost you extra.
I always talk about, the main thing about my business is build sales. If you build sales, costs come down, right? I mean, you build sales, that labor is going to stay, the hours are going to almost stay the same and your percentage is going to go down, same as food costs. So we talk about building sales, and I think this is something specifically that builds sales and in turn, costs come down because of it. So it is profitable to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I hate to left turn from the yummy subject we're talking about, but I want to talk a little bit more about technology and automation in QSR restaurants. At what point in time did you implement, obviously everyone has mobile ordering, but, do you have the kiosks that people order on their own in every one of your units right now, or every one of your stores?
We added kiosks a little over a year ago, and just been a huge win. I mean, absolutely love them. The negative connotation is service goes down and, you just it's very mechanical. But what we try and do, and I think we do a pretty good job of it, is we stick one more person instead of behind a cash register, behind a counter, they're in front of it. They're right next to you. They work you through it. And so you're shoulder to shoulder with your guests. And we get that, it's not every single time, but many more times versus being over a counter.
And so you only have kiosk ordering, or can you actually?
We also have a cash register, POS, because there might be cash, right? They don't take cash. So, and we do take cash. When the kiosks are backed up, we have 2 per store. When the kiosks are backed up, we'll grab someone at the register, to keep the flow going. Kiosks they're great though. They upsell, automatically. The AI features are wonderful. It really is I believe, a game changer. It's a labor saver. They don't call in sick. they don't show up late.
Exactly. They don't call in sick. I want to commend you for one thing, and that is keeping some level of the hybrid model, that you have someone shoulder to shoulder willing to help answer a question, walk my 80-year-old mom through it when I'm not there with her. Shoot, help me through it. I'm almost 50. It's like, sometimes I get a little tied up on these things too. But to have that hybrid model is absolutely vital. I get very turned off and flustered if I'm in a place where I'm trying to do something that's being automated and I can't figure it out. It doesn't encourage me to continue with my order or come back.
It leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and it's not the food we're talking about. I hear you, and we try our very best. And fortunately, if you look at Yelp scores and Google scores at World Wraps, we're above 4 stars in every one. And so we really focus on service in that way.
One question I have that kind of bridges the gap between another section we are going to hit here, but how do you find it sounds like you've described it a little bit, but for your total labor, how do you find balance between employees within a QSR business model and automation? Obviously, we know, kiosks offset front of house, counter labor and all that stuff, but where's the balance here? Do you have some sort of moral compass or quarrel with yourself saying, gosh, I'm cutting a body to add AI or add technology?
So, yeah, I mean, again, a great question. And it's one of the big concerns of the world right now, right? I mean, do we need humans? And if we can be more profitable, what that means to me is we can open up more restaurants. And if we can open up more restaurants, we're talking about, we have about 25 employees per restaurant, even with the kiosks. So I think that's the win. Right. I mean,
well said. Right. You're not killing jobs. You're creating more jobs with efficiency. So
we are.
Good for you. Good for you. How do you stay digitally engaged with your customers? Is there new forms of loyalty programs? Is it all through an application on the phone? What other things do you guys use at World Wraps to stay connected?
I'll shout out a vendor called BeHeard, BeHeard. They literally have QSR codes that we can put on our to-go bags, and someone can immediately give us some kind of feedback. I mean, we get tons of feedback on Yelp and Google as well. We have I mean, there's just many ways we can talk to our guests, and we absolutely have a loyalty program. We MailChimp out promos. That's a big one. You just get their numbers, but the loyalty program's great. We've got 40,000 members to our loyalty group right now, and they're open to getting any kind of promos and communications from us.
Yeah, great. Patrick, do you have any stamp cards still in your wallet for loyalty programs at the old coffee shop or what?
I actually wanted to
100 of them with eight stamps.
Yeah, exactly. We're almost there.
Yeah. We just did an episode on, reviews and influencers and stuff. And so curious to know what you think about Yelp and Google, and how do you handle all of your reviews and responding? And if you can just touch on that, it would be really great.
I personally respond to every single one of our Yelp and Google reviews. I just think it's imperative, and it's something I spend Monday mornings, whether it could be an hour to 2 hours on. We work with our teams and have contest interests, company to try and get more and more Yelp and Google reviews. It's super important. You see your Yelp score go from 4.3 to 4.5. It helps. I mean, it moves you up the ladder, and we have again 6 locations, so a lot of transitory people coming in, not being sure, tourists, where do I go? They look to the top of the Yelp heap. It matters. It might not matter as much today as influencers and going viral and that kind of thing, or there's a little bit of both to it. So TikToks and all that. I mean, you got to be on it. You got to be. And I'm a little long in the tooth, so I'm still learning it, and I've got some younger, more hip people involved in that at World Wraps.
Yeah. That's funny you brought that up, Patrick. We literally have, a recent episode that we recorded was all around this. And let's just lump us 3 gentlemen here, into a similar, age demographic and so on. And it's really neat for me to hear, Matthew, that you stay engaged with those online reviews and you respond to them. It can be emotional, it can be time consuming, but it seems like it's paying off for you given your high ratings.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you have to take a deep breath and answer or respond in, a professional way, and it's not always simple, but that's okay. And we're very fortunate. I mean, I'm going to say, well over 9 out of 10 of our reviews are super positive.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Cool.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So earlier you spoke about your team members and sliding, to come to the register when the kiosk gets, filled up. So how do you train your team to be more efficiently in your QSR model? And does everybody kind of have a slide position? If you can just kind of talk about all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's training. I mean, I have a VP of Ops, Patrick DeLay, who's excellent. And, we just train it. And, it took a little while to figure it out when we added our first kiosks, and we focused on one store for 2 or 3 weeks and tried to figure it out there. And, who's supposed to be out front? Let's get everyone. It was hard, a little bit of a struggle to get people from behind the counter out front, as I kind of explained earlier. But after a couple of days, I just got a sense of it, and I think they like being out front more than behind this counter. I mean, if you just think about that, it's just kind of weird having that barrier. I mean, it really is a barrier. So they're out and they're cleaning tables, checking in with guests, and then they see somebody head on over to the kiosk that might not be as versed in it. Maybe it is your grandma, maybe it is first timer, and they'll go, help them out. And so it's kind of natural. It just takes a little while. It's a little bit of time and training, but it's not that difficult.
Yeah, I have some experience with this because I used to be a general manager at Starbucks, and I used to train this whole, sliding positions, going to the, be a barista, come to the register, and making everybody open to whatever their slide position was. And we had a very efficient team because we were one of the busier stores. And at first you get some resistance from the employees because they think that they have a position and that's it. But when you start opening their mind to this better way, it's almost like an orchestra. It just works so perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah. And then just the only other thing I'd say about kiosks and how maybe it might affect negatively, you might think, employees, is one less person on the shift. And we didn't let anyone go. It was through attrition that ultimately we'd lose a person or two, and we never had to let someone go. But it means more tips, right? I mean, you split the tip pool. We split our tip pool amongst everyone. So one less person means more tips. So there's that other positive. But Jamba, Starbucks, I know you were Jamba as well. We have a back of house and a front of house at World Wraps. And we have someone grilling, and we have someone putting together the wraps. And that's kind of where they are. And then we have what we call our front of house team. And they're sliding all over in the front of house, delivering food, cleaning up at the tables, checking in with the guests, and helping at the kiosk. But they do slide around in the front of house. Yeah.
On this training theme, obviously, I'm intimately aware of how you're going to train on food prep and dish creation, and then, dealing with the customer in front. But With all this new technology within your, QSR stores, how do you train and who's in charge of what if something goes down? What if software needs to be updated? What happens when the internet goes out, if it ever goes out? I mean, I remember what would happen in our stores, and I remember getting out the old credit card swipers and, having my staff trained on this stuff. But what happens in 2025 when something goes wrong with the technology?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a great question. And again, 6 stores, there's bound to be something in each store. I mean, we do have an internal and one external IT member, on call, ready to help with that. We have a very, we try and train a system with if something's not working or goes down or whatever, what we do. And what we do is we just take care of the guest, whatever that means, whether we have to write it down and have them pay later, whether we have to check in with all the different guests and say, we're having an issue right now, just to let you know, it might take 10 minutes for your food versus the 6 you're used to. We have a fail-safe backup plan, I'd say, because that does happen, and it happens unfortunately enough. We all have IT issues, all the time.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
Matt, do you think that some QSR concepts have embraced, delivery app business and some haven't? And do you think that is a kiss of death in today's time? Do you have to embrace all the delivery app business right now?
I mean, that's just such an amazing, part of our business, these days. It builds sales. And like I talked about, building sales is so important, but it's a cost line now. I mean, when I started in this business in 94, 95, there were 3 things, right? It was your prime cost that you talk about and, get ribbed by Andy about a little bit. You got your cogs, labor and cogs, right? And
you really have listened to our episodes.
I know.
Tried to see what I was in for. So you have labor and cogs, which are your biggest ones, right? Your 80-20, those are your 80. And then the only other thing you really worried about, 20 years ago when I started, 25 years ago, was maybe occupancy, right? Rent. Those are the 3 biggies. Now, I mean, our third-party commission line, delivery line, is bigger than our rent line.
To say it out loud is shocking.
It is. I mean, there's a fourth, this 4th line, where did it come from? And you didn't necessarily expect it, and it just kind of hit you out of nowhere. But it builds sales. You've got to be, I believe, part of that game. There's ways to help ease it a little bit. We're selling our wraps, obviously, through those sites at a little bit of a premium than if you came into the restaurant. That's how you balance and offset it.
And you could do that now, right? Because I know before I sold my restaurant, there was some talk with like DoorDash, I believe, that they wanted the menu price on their platform to be the same, but that's different now.
It is. I think there's a little bit of negotiating with that, but I think they understand that has to happen. You just can't get hit by 18%.
I doubt this applies to your concept, but can you negate things that you think don't travel well or uphold the integrity of the dish?
Yeah.
You can? Okay.
Yeah, and there's different types of platforms that we need to talk about probably. I mean, there's a DoorDash, Uber, Grubhub, right? But then there's also the third-party caterers. Third-party caterers are really where you can negate, right? Like you don't think that this item travels well and you don't want it sitting around for an hour or in someone's conference room for 2 hours. So those third-party caterers, that's where you might think about negating, much more often and be more conscious about what you want to potentially supply and allow their guests to order.
Yeah, the third-party caterers, I have a lot of experience with. I mean, basically, in my experience in San Francisco, I saw the whole thing unfold. And in the beginning, they were giving us large jobs at like a 10% commission, to get like 300-person breakfast burrito, So I was like, yeah, I'll take that. It's like having a sales team for an extra 10%. But then it started to kind of tap into revenue that I was already getting from certain companies. So I was, cannibalizing my own business that I had built. And then from there, they started to raise it, obviously, 15, 17, 20%. Next thing you know, they're asking for more. And that's when I started to kind of get a little bit of an issue because they were taking away revenue that I already had. And secondly, it was costing me an arm and a leg to have that revenue. Like you just said, it's, larger than your...
It's a tough one. It's a tough call. Yeah. But to me, what's won out is doing $3,000 in business before you even open the doors, right? I mean, you've got $3,000 in orders sitting there on your tables getting taken away by delivery drivers from Easy Cater or Fuda or Forkable. And then, you can open the signs and, you put your open sign up at that point after that. So it works.
I like that your positive spin on that because that's real. You have this sales before you even, open the doors. And just to go back to the point that on your, P&L, you have this line item of the third-party delivery app fees that is trumping now even your rent, right? It's pretty wild to fathom that. The only thing I can equate that to, when Open Table came out, right? We were paying for a rear end in our seats, $1 a cover, and then it went up. And then I'm like, we just paid $8 for 8 guests in this one table and our margin is X. It was a hard pill to swallow, but then the thought of doing something different and not paying for that service was like, wait a minute, we're kind of locked in on this, right? And there's worth.
They got you where they want you. They got you where they want you a little bit. If you're not with them, yeah. I mean, your competitors are doing it, right?
Exactly. I wanted to ask a little bit, about where does environmental concerns and things come in with these QSR models, quick service restaurant models, and how do you approach it? And I think what I'm referring to is obviously fast food, quick service restaurants rely heavily on single-use utensils, boxes, cups, to-go containers, all these things. To make the quote-unquote right decision to use compostables and other things, sometimes it's mandated by the community you are operating in. Other times it's a owner decision. But we do know that it adds a cost, a high cost to purchase these kind of sustainable, packaging and stuff. Where do you fall with that on your company?
Well, we're entirely green. We have 2 bins. It's recycle or compostable. That's it. So we try and keep with that, health, halo, environmental sustainability, super important to us. And we clearly feel like our guests. So you pay up a little bit and paper might be a little bit more expensive, but we're making cogs work for ourselves.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that very much. I think the overall QSR marketplace, if more owners and operators had your perspective, it would, I think obviously it would be a fantastic thing. And unfortunately, they don't. A lot of them don't.
But I get it. I mean, it's a bottom line thing sometimes. And if our margins in our business are tight. So, but I think the earth, and I've got 2 younger kids, and, you got to think about that.
Andy, do you want to give them the bonus question at this point, or what?
Yes. I think you and I, Patrick, I just want to point out a couple things that Matthew said that really stood out to me to kind of bring it back around for our listeners. You can do QSR the right way. I'm not saying, junk food's the wrong way. We all love our junk food, but one, your concept really focuses on healthy choices, good ingredients, and it's not always you don't always need to, as a business owner, always need the most efficient thing, like I'm going to order a bag of tortillas and put it in my walk-in. You are able to provide something that's unique, fresh, and healthier and tastier without driving your labor up, right? Or your food cost up and so on. So kudos to you on that. I really took away from the third-party delivery app, the cost of that you don't see it as a negative thing. You think of it, you really spun it as quite a positive thing, no matter it is a cost that is higher than your rent at this point. Yep. You see it worth it. So those are really 2 key takeaways. Yeah, no, I know it still hurts, but you're making it work and you spun it positively. We can complain until we're blue in the face about everything all day long, right? Yeah. So anyways, yes, I want to know then, here's your bonus question today. It's usually revolved around food. What's your favorite quick service restaurant concept outside of your own?
Let's see. I really like Suvla. I think they're doing a really nice job. Mediterranean. I'm a Euro guy. I like them a lot. Any kind of fast, fresh quality sushi, as far as that, but those are probably my 2 favorite types of things that I'll eat outside of World Wraps.
Yeah. Can you share any fast quality sushi? Because that's my jam, but I'm having trouble there. I'm having trouble finding
Go to Japantown and go to some of those boat,
I love it.
Places. Yes. And those do the trick for me. And you can be in and out of there. You don't have to wait to order. You just go pick it up and boom, plop it in your mouth and you're ready to go. And 10, 15 minutes later. So I think that's about as fast as it gets.
Tokyo does it well, trust me, because we're still getting better sushi than any sushi restaurant in Sacramento.
Oh, yeah.
I shouldn't say that, Billy. Sorry, Billy from Crew. Who's in on our show.
I heard about your Japanese trip. I'm jealous. Awesome.
All right. Well, I want to thank you. I think what you shared is very refreshing. Congratulations to the growth of your business. It's a great concept. I hope you have continued success long into the future. Patrick, anything from you, my friend?
That's it. Thank you so much, Matt. I appreciate your time here.
All right. You got it, guys. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed today's show and don't want to worry about missing an episode, you can follow the show wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you found today's episode interesting or useful, please share it with someone you think would benefit and consider leaving a rating and review.
Reviews help restaurant owners or buyers just like you discover this podcast and benefit from the important topics covered in the episodes. Your opinion matters to us as a listener, so feel free to leave topic suggestions and feedback for us, as we will use these to tailor the episodes to you and help you get the most out of listening.
Thank you all for listening to this week's episode of Restaurant Deal Making Exposed. If you're considering selling your business and would like a free consultation, reach out to Patrick and Andy at therestaurantsalesbroker.com or visit www.therestaurantsalesbroker.com to learn more.